I feel like there weren't as many Guitar Hero games that I liked more than Guitar Hero 2, but there were a couple. So let's talk Guitar Hero. It was released. Where did you go?
I've had Jordan in my mind this entire time.
Yeah, I've been trying my best to ignore your head throwing. What do they call that when kids who listen to rock and roll bob their head back and forth? What is that called? Is the noggin jogging?
Noggin jogging, yeah.
And when you jog your noggin. So Guitar Hero 2, developed by Harmonix and Red Octane, was released November 7th, 2006, which makes it one of the oldest games on my list. I don't know, man. All I can say is I'm going to tell the same story that we have probably already told on this podcast before, but do you remember Guitar Hero 3? Do you remember Mr. Grace's Guitar Hero tournament? Yeah, so during it was like not the presidential testing, but it was like ISATs. It was like state testing in Illinois. We didn't have the same schedule in middle school as we did on normal days because, you're doing like school-wide testing, and I don't know how they ended up separating our groups, but we would sometimes end up in the homeroom of a teacher that we've never had before. And depending on how early your group is able to get, done with tests, the rest of the day that you had to spend at school was spent doing fun stuff. And based on the teacher that you ended up with, you either did like a free period where you could, be on your iPods or read a book or like whatever and relax, or you could end up in the choir room with the music teacher and have a competition to see who the best Guitar Hero player is. And so in the middle of the week, we narrowed down the brackets and we played Guitar Hero. And then I think over the course of the week, we just played more Guitar Hero and got closer to the top of the bracket, or the middle of the bracket. But for fear of getting made fun of for being bad at the game, but trying hard to be good at it, this is how fragile my ego is. I instead held the guitar incorrectly on purpose and just kept strumming incorrect notes so that I could end my turn as early as possible. Which does not sound like me at all now, and except for the me pissing my pants part, because I did that too. But that was my first introduction to Guitar Hero, and I think we were in the same group for that. But you also didn't make it very far, I don't think, because neither of us.
This at all.
Because I don't think either of us had we didn't have Guitar Hero. Like neither of us had the guitar.
Even back then, I only played with a controller.
Yeah. It wasn't until Metallica that you got the actual guitar peripheral.
Maybe,
something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah. So it was a very unnatural thing for us, but eventually, I ended up going to sleep over at certain friends' houses that had Guitar Hero, and I got hooked very, very quickly after that, partially because of my love for classic rock music, especially in the earlier games, but also because I feel like a lot of my friends were playing Guitar Hero, and it was just the cool thing to do. Guitar Hero 3, it was the perfect game at the right time to come out, and it spurred on so many lookalikes and so many copycats that also wanted to get in on the rhythm game craze. And, it was just the popular thing to do. So my mom ended up getting me a Guitar Hero game with the controller, but the only game that was available at Game Crazy or whatever store we got the controller from was Guitar Hero 2. So I played the shit out of that game despite 90% of the songs being covers, including Monkey Wrench by the Foo Fighters. But I didn't realize they were covers at the time. I was just glad to have the game and glad to be able to play through a story mode of like songs that I'd never played before, which would end up being every Guitar Hero after that. But because Guitar Hero 2 was the only one that I owned for a while, yeah, I ended up playing that a ton. I'm trying to think of other songs that game had. Jordan by Buckethead, which I never touched because I was too nervous to try to play that. And
that was Through the Fire and Flames before Through the Fire and Flames.
Yeah, I can only think of Guitar Hero 3 songs like Slow Ride and Rock and Roll All Night. But yeah, did you ever play Guitar Hero 2?
I did. I mean, I have it. But that was a later one. Like, I didn't go back because I started at 3. And like you said, it's like I played it a lot and didn't even realize that most of the songs aren't the real one.
Yeah. Okay. So out of the oh
shit, they have Primus in the second one? I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude, out of the 40 songs in the main career mode of Guitar Hero 2, 4 of them are the original recordings. And one of them is Primus, John the Fisherman.
There's a lot of good songs in here, but it's not the original, so it's like I wouldn't go back to it.
Well, and they ended up releasing Guitar Hero, was it World Tour or Smash Hits? They released Guitar Hero Smash Hits, which included the original master recordings of a lot of these like songs, like the popular songs from a lot of the older games. But yeah, dude, we got Bad Reputation by Thin Lizzy. You got Carry On Wayward Son. You got Cherry Pie. Crazy on You by Heart. Freebird. You have fucking free. You had Hangar 18, Heart Shaped Box, Killing in the Name, Message in a Bottle, which I loved playing. There was Rock This Town by the Stray Cats, which was also in another rhythm game that I played a lot in middle school called Elite Beat Agents on the Nintendo DS. You had Surrender by Cheap Trick's, Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses. There was a Spinal Tap song called Tonight I'm Gonna Rock You Tonight, which I never knew they were a parody band. You had The Trooper by Iron Maiden, War Pigs by Black Sabbath, YYZ by Rush. So it was like they had a banger after banger, and I was just so happy. I was so happy to be able to play a Guitar Hero game. I didn't care if there were songs that I didn't know. I didn't care if they were covers. Yeah, and I don't really have a whole lot else to say about Guitar Hero 2. That wouldn't just bleed into conversations about Guitar Hero in general. I will say, I feel like Guitar Hero and learning to play on the Guitar Hero controller, it might have fucked up my hands permanently playing real guitar, because the way that the Guitar Hero guitar is set up is it's 5 buttons all horizontally in a row, kind of like 5 frets on a string, but only one string. So when you play a chord on a Guitar Hero guitar, it's not like playing a chord on a real guitar, because if you were to do that on a real guitar, you would just play the highest fret, your finger furthest, like closest to you.
The infamous 5-chord note.
Yeah, dude. And don't even get me fucking started on like the Pro
Raining
controller with the tappy stuff that you can use for like the harmonics. But when I ended up picking up a real guitar in 2010 and started learning songs on my own and learning riffs and writing songs, I had infinitely more trouble. I'm convinced I had more trouble learning how to play guitar after playing Guitar Hero for so long than I would have had I just picked up a guitar like, a normal person. So in the years since I've, started doing music professionally, I've had to unlearn a lot of guitar techniques and holding the way that I hold my the neck of the guitar and press down on the frets and stuff. But I will always cherish my memories with Guitar Hero. It doesn't matter what version of Guitar Hero. I've played almost all of them, except for Guitar Hero Tap on the DS. Never bothered touching that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, after that, Guitar Hero in general, Guitar Hero specifically, but also rhythm games in general, blew the fuck up. And then you had Rock Band, you had DJ Hero, you had all of the rhythm games that were like, yeah, the DK, the Bongo one, the Jungle Kong.
Yeah, whatever it's called.
Yeah. And then eventually, developers stopped making rhythm games. I think the last one that really became super popular was the Saber one, Beat Saber, like the VR one. But I think that's as far as you can take it. I remember when they tried to put out Rocksmith, that was like, yeah, plug in your actual guitar to the game and then play music that way. I never bothered trying to touch that because, again, at that point I was already playing music, so it would have felt kind of weird. Kind of would have felt like a step back. At least if I'm gonna play a video game that is music oriented, let me use a toy, you know? Like I'm not gonna use my $400 guitar just to get notes wrong in a Guitar Hero game. But yeah, I think it's honestly for the best. I think rhythm games, as fun as they are, now they've been downgraded to iPhone apps and kids.
Just get Clone Hero.
Yeah, I will say the Guitar Hero community has given life to the Guitar Hero series through Clone Hero, which people get so creative on Clone Hero.
This shit's not going away. It's never going away. They might have stopped making games, but it's never going away.
Yeah, and that's what I will say about rhythm games is they have a very passionate fan base. So thank you all of the folks who have made Clone Hero songs or Clone Hero stages for songs that we have listened to. Like they have people made Origami Angel songs in Clone Hero. People have made the Dokkan soundtrack into Clone Hero tracks.
Yeah.
So I think putting Guitar Hero 2 at number 14 on my list makes a lot of sense because I couldn't not include a rhythm game.